Hi there. I'm Tom Field. I'm Senior Vice President of Editorial with Information Security Media Group. I'm talking today about ransomware, not if, but when. My pleasure to be speaking with now Paul Haywood. He's the Executive CISO with Bupa Global. Paul, thank you so much for taking time to speak with me today.
You're more than welcome. Good to be here.
It's the question of the year. What does the ransomware risk mean specifically to your organization?
So a little bit of context for my organization. So Bupa is both a primary healthcare provider and an insurance organization. So ransomware is probably one of the preeminent risks from a cybersecurity point of view that our insurance business has from a confidential data and PII data, but our healthcare business from medical data. So if I look at the primary healthcare businesses, clearly with a hospital and sort of dental practices, actually ransomware has a potential for patient harm. So it's really significant high risk. And from our insurance businesses, ransomware has the potential for extraction of lots of customer data. So actually is very much from a regulatory risk and a customer impact point of view. And with respect to how ransomware has impacted our industries, there has been hospitals where we've seen patient harm and we've seen fatalities as a result of ransomware attacks. And that is very forefront in our minds. And of course, across the financial services sectors, you've seen insurance organizations that have effectively been taken out of operations for numbers of weeks and months because of a ransomware attack. So from an executive sponsorship level, actually the precautions we take around ransomware are taken very, very seriously.
This year in particular, where there's been so much ransomware, how have your detection and response capabilities evolved to keep pace?
Yeah, we've very much relied on two things in terms of ransomware, right? We look at real detection and detection at speed, and we look at the responsiveness of actually our cyber operations teams and our business to actually handle that. So if I look at the detection capabilities, we very much majored on, like many organizations, the collaboration aspects and the Microsoft convergence aspects with the E5 license and the Microsoft tooling from an EDR point of view. But we've also very much leveraged our network detection capabilities with products like Vectra to look at our on-premise estate, our cloud estate, and our O365 estate. And that's really to accelerate our detection capabilities. And on the other side of that, we've done a lot of work in terms of our playbooks and our business readiness planning from a crisis management and a business continuity point of view, in terms of if the inevitable does happen, how quickly can we respond? How quickly can we mitigate any ongoing risk? But more importantly, how can we stop the contagion, right? So when we look at Bupa as an organization, we've got many different business units. And actually what we want to really mitigate against is any lateral risk across business units. So the quicker we detect, the quicker we can take those containment actions to stop the contagion.
Oh, you mentioned Vectra. How would a solution like Vectra AI be helpful in preventing a ransomware infection and stopping ransomware even before you get to the point of encryption?
So Vectra AI gives us the twin to our EDR solution, right? So it gives us a network detection capability. And for me, looking at that anomalous network traffic gives us a real insight into something mysterious happening in our environment that we need to, with high fidelity, go and actually react to. And from a point of view of ransomware, using the threat-led approach, the threat hunting approach that we get from our NDR and our EDR capabilities, we get to the ability to say, actually, this traffic that we are seeing on our network is something which is unusual, right? You couple that together with sort of the data science and the analytics and the anomaly detection, machine learning techniques and the AI techniques with Vectra, we get to the point where actually highlighting those things that I need my security and my cyber team to look at, bring to the forefront. And ransomware is one of those things which actually you look at the anomalous traffic, and actually the earlier you find that, the sooner you can react. And that's one of the key advantages that we get from Vectra, is the ability to, at pace, process lots of data from our network topology and actually really understand from a lateral risk point of view across our geographic locations, whether something as mysterious, anomalous has happened across our wider network or our cloud estate that we need to react to.
Paul, you got a captive audience here. Your peers around the world are all dealing with the same issues and all asking the same question. What am I missing? From your experience, what lessons learned can you share about ransomware defense?
I think there's two or three things in there. I think there's always work on the assumed breach premise, right? So I think organizations absolutely need to work on assumed breach. The days of building high castles and high walls and putting moats around them with layers of defense from historical, what I would call legacy tooling, have long gone, right? You now need to move with actually speed of interpretation of your data, speed of understanding of the traffic on your network, speed of understanding of the process on your endpoints, and look at that sort of combination of endpoint detection response and network detection response to really give you a good insight as to what's happening in your network. And there's a lot of information that flows, and you are reliant on new techniques, right? You're reliant on the data science, you're reliant on the machine learning to give you those insights from a threat-led response. That's point number one, right? Point number two for me is fundamentally based on the premise of actually with good detection needs to come a well-rehearsed playbook in terms of response capabilities. And with good response capabilities, you need to have gone, your executive team, gone down the journey of actually, how am I going to manage the crisis? Actually, what is the action I'm going to take? If ransomware hits and you've got that ransomware note which says, pay my Bitcoins, what are you going to do as an executive team? You can't make that on the fly. That's about rehearsing, that's about practice, that's about mature playbooks. But actually, hopefully, that's a last resort, because hopefully your detection and response capabilities have allowed you to contain the risk. You've got good enough enforcement and rules in terms of your tooling to actually encapsulate that risk and mitigate the risk. So hopefully we don't get into the contagion scenario, but actually if you do, have a well-rehearsed, well-understood playbook.
Very good, Paul. I appreciate your time and insight today. Thanks so much for sharing.
Welcome.
Again, the topic has been ransomware, not if, but when. You just heard from Paul Haywood, the executive CISO with Bupa Global. For Information Security Media Group, I'm Tom Field. Thank you so much for giving us your time and attention today.